From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
Coming up, Fermi America has recently seen both their chief executive officer and chief financial officer leave the company. We have more on that shakeup. And we head down to Hereford as voters prepare to decide on a $150 million bond for a new school. It was announced that Fermi America's Toby Nauberger has stepped down from his position as Chief Executive Officer. Good morning and thanks for joining us for Politics Today. We've got a number of political stories to cover today, so let's get started. In a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Nauberger departed from his role as CEO of the company. The filing stated that the company's board of directors has created an interim office of the CEO. This includes according to the filing, the office will include Chief Operating Officer Jacobo Ortiz and Board Observer Anna Bofa. The company said it intends to search for a permanent CEO and plans to release more information on Monday. We got the following statement from Trent Sizemore from Fermi Company Liaison. It says, quote, "In the world of AI, things change rapidly. I have respect for both the past and present teams of Fermi, and I still believe in the project for the company and the community and the U.S. My role is to always look out for the interests of Amarillo and the Texas Panhandle." Fermi America has seen both their Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer leave the company in a matter of a few days. According to the filings of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Miles Everson resigned from his role as the company's CFO. Everson will no longer be an officer or employee of the company, but he was elected for Fermi's board of directors after his resignation. This follows the similar actions of the CEO, who left his post and was also elected to the board of directors. Fermi is now evaluating a candidate to serve as interim CFO, while the interim CEO position is held by a specially made office comprised of Jacobo Ortiz and Anna Bofa. Bell has announced a program to improve on the V-22 readiness. According to Bell, the NECL improvement program dramatically reduces maintenance hours and maintainer time. They do this by specifically wiring, enhancing structural components. They also integrate fleet maintainer informed feedback. All of the improvements are being done at the Amarillo Assembly Center. This is where all variants of the Bell Boeing V-22 model, MV, CMV, and CV are assembled. Congressman Ronnie Jackson is considering a run to lead the House Armed Services Committee. Jackson currently chairs the House Armed Services Intelligence and Special Operations Subcommittee. The Armed Services Committee has many roles, including military research and development, national security aspects of nuclear energy, and military weapons systems or military operations. A major decision is coming up for voters in Hereford ISD. A proposed $150 million bond could bring significant changes to district facilities, including a new high school. Politics Today's Blas Guerrero has the details.
Aging infrastructure is at the center of Hereford ISD's proposed $150 million bond, with district leaders pointing to decades-old systems that are becoming harder to maintain.
We're starting to have failing infrastructure, plumbing issues, electrical issues, things that we cannot get to because the building, as you well know, most of those problems are in the walls or in the concrete.
The biggest piece of the proposal is a brand new high school planned to be built around the current campus before the old building is eventually torn down. Carter says the goal is to create a modern learning environment while keeping students on site during construction.
One of the things that this will allow us to do is to have a closed school where kids can come in the door and then stay in there all day before they leave. Safety is a huge component in the design of this building, and we'll spend time making sure that our kids are inside, making sure that our kids are not exposed.
Safety will play a role in the new campus, with plans for safe rooms at every campus, along with added security upgrades and perimeter fencing. The bond will also address outdated systems that make it difficult to support today's classroom technology.
The electrical was built for 1954 technology. So in 2026, if we want to we want to charge our Chromebooks in the classroom, that has proven to become a very difficult process, because you may plug in 2 or 3, you may blow the fuse, or you may trip the breaker.
District officials estimate the bond will add about $9.83 a month for the average homeowner with the homestead exemption, while those 65 and older would see no increase due to capped school taxes.
District officials say the bond also includes demolition of the old Stanton building and other district-wide updates. If approved, the next step would be finalizing designs before construction begins. Early voting is underway through April 28th with Election Day set for May 2nd. If approved, Carter says the project could take about 3 years to complete. Texas can force schools to post the 10 Commandments in the classroom. That's what a federal appeals court ruled on Tuesday. All 17 judges heard arguments for and against the law in both Texas and Louisiana. The court ruled in favor of Louisiana's law in February. Both of these will most likely go to the Supreme Court. The Texas House Committee on State Affairs has launched an investigation into roadblocks. The announcement comes from Texas State Representative Ken King. The announcement says that the investigation has 4 primary areas of concern that they are set to look into, namely content moderation failures, age verification and parental consent, predatory contact and exploitation, and federal immunity over reach. The investigation's launch follows the discovery of a user-created game recreation of the Uvalde school massacre. In the announcement, King says, quote, a game that forces children to relive the murders at Robb Elementary on a platform used by tens of millions of kids every single day is not a glitch or an oversight. It is a catastrophic failure. This investigation follows an announcement from the platform of changes set to improve child safety on their platform. We sat down with King as he talks about the investigation. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Roblox investigation that you have started. So tell me a little bit about how that investigation that you guys decided to do. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so I'm just actually learning more as we speak about Roblox and some of these gaming platforms, and it came to our attention in the Texas House that Roblox is a platform, and they allow creative space for somebody gets on their site and they can make their own game. Well, we've got information that another group has been using the Roblox platform to build games that do things like replicate the Robb Elementary shooting in Uvalde, and I think there's a lot of evidence already that that's not even the worst of it. There's games that are being created on Roblox and other platforms that groom children for sexual activity, for all kinds of nefarious stuff. You know, when the speaker asked me to take this on, I chose State Affairs Committee in the House. The State Affairs Committee's purview is very big. It's very wide. A lot of what we do has to do with grid, the electric grid. All this data center stuff we're hearing about it, all of that comes through the State Affairs Committee. But the State Affairs Committee has such a wide breadth of functionality that any subject that the speaker decides is of concern to the entire state, State Affairs gets it. So it wasn't something that came directly from Speaker Burrows, asked me and my fellow committee members to take this on. I don't know a lot about how how it works from a functional standpoint. I'm not a video game expert. I don't think I've ever played one. But I will tell you this. Anybody who would make a game depicting a tragedy like the Uvalde school shooting is sick, in my opinion. And any company that allows that to happen on their platform is culpable. By the end of the summer, we will get to the bottom of it, and I expect Roblox and others should be very concerned with what the Texas legislature is going to take up next session. I don't know what those things are yet. I can't give you details. We have to go through the investigative process. But from what I've learned so far, not only does it need to be done, it's going to be a priority of the Texas House.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next, is kind of what some of the things and kind of steps that you guys are going to be looking at, what some of the things you guys are going to be focusing on with this.
So there's been multiple lawsuits against Roblox from other states. They settled millions of dollars of lawsuits in various states, Nevada, West Virginia, I believe Alabama already. Our Attorney General has already filed a lawsuit against them. There has not been a settlement with Texas at this point. Certainly we're going to start with Attorney General's lawsuit, and dig into it and see what evidence the Attorney General's office has compiled already. We're bringing in experts, our own experts, to explain gaming. I know probably a lot of people that are watching this know a lot more about gaming than I do. But since I'm charged with investigating this and asking the hard questions, I'm going to spend this summer educating myself, as my committee will be doing too. And after the committee process is over, we will write a report that'll be made public. It'll certainly be presented to the entire legislature, the House and the Senate, and the governor. And then legislation, if legislation is needed, it will follow based on that report.
And so I guess, how did you guys, this come to your attention? How did this game inside of Roblox come to you guys' attention with this?
Well, there's been several articles written about it recently. I mean, Roblox has been being sued by other states and for harming children for years now. And where it actually came to Texas' attention, Representative Don McLaughlin, who happened to be the mayor of Uvalde when the Robb Elementary shooting happened to see an article depicting the game of the Uvalde shooting that is built on the Roblox platform. He brought the article to myself and to Speaker Burrows, and we started digging into it and found out that there's merit here, and we really need to act. I mean, there's nothing more important than protecting our kids. We've worked diligently to protect our children in the classroom because of tragedies like Uvalde, and I don't see any room in our state to allow people to make games that are basically a teaching tool for the next school shooter.
And so, tell me a little bit about as you guys move forward. You've talked about educating yourself on gaming and stuff like that. So, tell me a little bit about, I guess, how does that look? What does that look like as you educate yourself on gaming and Roblox and stuff like that?
Well, when I heard of Roblox the first time, I understood it to be a game, and I'm learning that it's a gaming platform, and you can get on their app and whatever content's in your brain, you can pretty much make it a game, which is really cool technology, but it's also dangerous. And I think these companies that own these platforms and are opening them up to the public, they're culpable in making sure the content coming off that platform isn't dangerous, and recreating the school shooting is dangerous.
New Mexico Judicial District 9, which covers Curry and Roosevelt County, was awarded $2 million. Senate Bill 3 was passed during the 2025 state legislative session, launching the Behavioral Health Reform and Investment Act, which supports incentives focused on expanding behavioral health services, improving infrastructure, and addressing community needs across prevention, treatment, and recovery. The New Mexico Healthcare Authority has awarded Region 9 in response to what it says the successful and approved submission of an early access funding application. Law enforcement and organizations coming together to train, coming out the incidents that they're training for, and why the process is important. On Wednesday, local first responder agencies came together for a multi-agency, multi-discipline incident training. The training focused on advanced law enforcement response training, which is the national standard for active shooter training. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details.
Whenever we get all of our law enforcement partners together, Amarillo Police Department, us, Amarillo ISD Police Department, Canyon Police Department, just anybody that would respond to an active shooter event here in Randall County, we get them together along with the fire departments and EMS.
Adjunct instructor for Alert and Randall County Deputy Kevin Willis shared the training starts off with an active shooter simulation.
Beginning is very chaotic. The first few officers arriving in what represents an active shooter event. There may be a suspect at large. He may still be killing people or may have fled the scene. There's casualties spread out everywhere, and these officers are trained to start the command process early on, and it builds out greater to a unified command all the way up to including law enforcement, fire, and EMS.
Forbes shared the agencies have trained together before and continue to train together in an effort to improve responses and save more lives in the community.
It actually teaches us to work together in a command structure that controls all the assets so that we can more quickly get the casualties out and get them to the hospital.
Willis shared the Panhandle is blessed to have first responders willing to train together in a proactive manner.
It's of great importance to do this training before events happen, not after. Many times we see a lot of law enforcement agencies are reactive instead of proactive. Marietta County Sheriff's Office has really taken the lead on being proactive about this. It's important that we have these pre-event training incidents that take place ahead of time.
Both Forbes and Willis shared that the training was a success and that everyone involved came in with a positive mindset to learn how to best respond and save lives. Willis says that this training allows them to train using the same tactics and command strategies while also understanding and establishing the responding command hierarchy. Texas lawmakers visited Camp Mystic on Monday. Coming up, a look at the investigation, why some think their focus needs to include more than just those and who died during last year's flood. The House and Senate General Investigating Committees on the July flooding events met for the first time Monday at Camp Mystic and Hunt. 28 people died from Camp Mystic during the flood, including 25 campers and 2 camp counselors, including Sil Stewart, who has family in the area. According to a November statement announcing the committee's formation, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Speaker of the Texas House Dustin Burrows said the 10 members are tasked with getting to the bottom at Camp Mystic. But as state capitol correspondent Adam Schwager reports, many in the Hill Country feel their focus is too narrow.
There's Senator Colcourse. Here they are.
On a rainy Monday afternoon, Elizabeth Schneider waits for lawmakers to pass her by.
They've declined meetings. They're refusing to meet with constituents who survived the flood.
So do the Underwoods.
We feel like the other people that did not survive this flood have been forgotten.
And we recovered a lot more than campers.
Last week, members of the Camp Mystic owning Eastland family testified in court. Their remarks, part of a lawsuit brought by the family of 8-year-old camper Sil Stewart, the only Camp Mystic victim whose body has yet to be recovered.
The idea that they didn't get warned about this flood is wrong as well. We showed it methodically. They got warned for 48 or 72 hours.
Many of Monday's demonstrators watching the hearing and disagreeing.
In this neighborhood, 26 people died that morning. It's the same storm, and nobody down here, none of these families who survived are blaming Camp Mystic.
They were the only camp in session outside of Camp La Junta, and their cabins were also washed away with boys in them, but they were rescued.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has withdrawn a land protection plan for Muleshoe National Wildlife Refuge. Coming up, the reason why and what the Center for Biological Diversity is saying. The Muleshoe National Wildlife Refuge is 6,440 acres of protected land, about 65 miles northwest of Lubbock. It's the oldest wildlife refuge in Texas. Last year, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service withdrew a land protection plan for the refuge that would allow it to grow by up to 700,000 acres over time.
It's really unfortunate that this has become a political fight. It shouldn't be.
Brett Hartle is a scientist turned government affairs director at the Center for Biological Diversity.
In Texas, for example, every national wildlife refuge has been created from scratch through acquisition, through conservation easements, always done in cooperation with partners.
He says concerns over the proposed land protection plan for the Muleshoe National Wildlife Refuge.
The last thing we want in West Texas is the federal government coming in and taking over vast swaths of land.
Might be based on misconceptions.
The plan for Muleshoe Refuge was not new or weird or different or a power grab or a land grab.
The plan, announced during the Biden administration, would have enabled the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to grow the protected area by up to 700,000 acres. It's since been canceled, with lawmakers now moving to prevent the plan from ever happening.
Texas was built on property rights. This bill is simple. It says to Washington, get the heck out.
Hartle says the land rights argument isn't based on history, and a 1997 law says the refuge has the right to grow.
The growth of any refuge is always done voluntarily and collaboratively. It would be extraordinarily out of the norm for them to seize land.
Hartle says legislation like this could ultimately prevent wildlife from thriving.
100 years ago, birds that we take for granted every day were blinking out. The wildlife refuge system is the world's gold standard. But we can't assume that these things, if they can never grow, will continue to function as we hope they would into the future.
Dumas High School student team has been recognized as the inaugural winners of the Presidential Artificial Intelligence Challenge for Texas. Let's talk about what happened this week. The Dumas students were named state winners for Project DART. The project is an innovative approach to solving digital fatigue in students using artificial intelligence. It centralizes on academic trackers, wellness portals, and counselor connection. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jack Kessler. This is Politics Today.